Have you ever worked day and night to achieve a goal you had, but the outcome you got was not worth all the effort you put into it? Or have you put a lot of effort into doing something to try to succeed, but you fail anyway, and that it could ruin your career? Well, these are a few things track and field athletes face. Many people like to go and watch track and field athletes compete because they are the peak of human capabilities and they compete on the world's biggest stage out there. So many of the people believe that they get major pay contracts like in the NBA, NFL, and other sports, but that is simply not true. They face many financial struggles that an average human being may face in their day-to-day life. Unlike other sports, track and field has a unique financial support. Most athletes rely on sponsorship-based income. The pay differences and the revenue differences between the athletes are major and very big differences. And most athletes have a bunch of out-of-pocket expenses they have to pay. A statistic I wanted to show was that on average, a basketball bench player makes $940,000 more than an average pro track and field athlete. The main points I will be talking about today are sponsorship-based income, big revenue differences, and out-of-pay expenses. Now that we've seen the layout, I want to talk about my first main point, sponsorship-based income. Unlike other sports, track does not have a guaranteed annual pay, so many athletes rely on other jobs and other ways to make money. But sometimes they do get a private sponsorship, which sometimes they heavily depend on because they pay for everything they need. But if they don't, then it costs them a lot of money. But the thing about sponsorships is that sponsorships are really strict in season. If you have a bad race or if you get injured, then that could be over. Your sponsorship could be cut from it. So now that we've talked about the sponsorship-based income, I wanted to tell you about the big revenue differences that they face. There are many differences between the top-tier athletes, mid-tier athletes, and even low-tier athletes. Track has one of the biggest pay differences between all the athletes in general, out of everyone. You can make up to millions of dollars or just barely $10,000 a year. Unless you are in the top five athletes in your event, you can averagely you will make less than $45,000 a year, which may seem like an annual salary, but for everything they do, all the meets they have to go to, that's not enough for what they do. And the reason for the big pay differences is that the track athletes, when they go to events and meets, that the big companies and people who host them, they take most of the money, which results in the track athletes not getting enough. And when the hosts do decide to give the athletes money, they only give them to the winners, and they don't give enough money to them to even make it like fair to go there and compete in the first place. In addition to facing major pay differences, I would like to talk about the out-of-pocket expenses that the track athletes have to pay. Most track athletes are responsible for their own coaching, support teams, and physical therapists. These things aren't cheap. This is why many track athletes rely on being their own coaches and making sure they are healthy and fit themselves. They have to make sure and search up how to stay fit, how to stay active, how to do the things they want to do to achieve the goals they have. They must pay for their own travel expenses when they go to different meets. So if they want to try a world ride, maybe stay in hotels, car rides, or anything, they have to pay that for themselves, which can cost a lot of money. And sometimes at the meets, they don't make enough money to pay all that back. And in addition to that, they also have to pay for their own medical insurance, their own gear, and even for the training facilities, which makes some of the athletes want to borrow or buy used gear. And then they also have to go to public training facilities where there may not be enough room for what they need to do. Now that we have looked at the out-of-pocket expenses, I wanted to look at the overall facts. To summarize my thoughts, I would like y'all to remember these things: that track and field athletes rely on sponsorship-based incomes to support themselves, that the revenue differences are very big between the top 10, top 5, top 30 athletes, that sometimes it may not seem fair to them because of how much effort they put into, and that the out-of-pocket expenses make it very hard to live with doing what you love to do, and the little money they make, they have to put it back into the sport they love to do. One last thing I would like to say is that while track and field athletes show the peak of human capability, not only in your home state or home country, they show it all across the world, which really gives us the ability to appreciate what they do every day to step onto the track and compete at the highest level. And these are my sources I used.